Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get right to what matters. Today, we're looking into something truly baffling. The crash of Air India Flight 171. This was back on June 12th, 2025. A Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner just took off from Ahmedabad, heading for London Gatwick, and it crashed moments later. I mean, the loss of life was devastating, over 260 people, including 19 on the ground. It became India's deadliest crash in a decade, and significantly the very first fatal accident involving a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. So our focus today, our deep dive, is on the central mystery. Why did both engine fuel supply switches get moved to cutoff almost at the same time, just seconds after liftoff? What could have possibly happened in those critical moments, and what are the black boxes telling us, really?
It's an incredibly short time frame we're talking about. Let's lay it out. Liftoff was at 08.08.39 UTC. That's Coordinated Universal Time. Just 3 seconds later, 08.08.42, it hits its max recorded speed, 180 knots, indicated airspeed. Everything looks completely normal. But then 1 second later, around 8.08.43 UTC, the fuel switch for engine 1, it moves to cutoff. And then almost instantly, maybe a second after that, away to 0.08.44, the engine 2 switch does the same. Fuel supply gone to both engines.
Wow. Okay, so 5 seconds total from liftoff to both engines essentially being starved of fuel. What happens then? How does the plane react?
Well, the reaction is almost immediate. By 08.08.47 UTC, so just 3 seconds after that second engine cutoff, the ram air turbine deploys, the RAT.
Okay. RAT, that's the emergency power unit.
Exactly. It provides backup hydraulic power when there's a major loss of thrust. Its deployment signals a really severe problem automatically. And it's not until 08.09.05 UTC, a full 17 seconds after the R8 deployed, that the crew managed to get out the Mayday call.
So the whole flight airborne time was maybe 30 seconds.
Roughly, yes. About 30 seconds. Incredibly brief.
Which makes what the black boxes found even more, well, more intense, especially the cockpit voice recorder, the CVR. It recorded a conversation, didn't it, in those seconds?
It did. And it's quite startling. The CVR picked up one pilot asking the other, quite clearly, why did you cut off?
Yeah.
And the response, I didn't.
So you have the flight data recorder, the FDR, showing definitively both switches moved. These switches, they have guards, right? You can't just bump them.
Correct. They're designed specifically against accidental activation. You have to deliberately lift a guard and then move the switch.
Yeah.
Doing that for one is unlikely by accident. Doing it for both, almost simultaneously. Highly improbable.
Yet the CVR has a pilot denying having done it. That's a direct conflict. Hard data versus, well, human testimony captured in the moment.
It's the absolute core of the dilemma for investigators. The switch design screams deliberate action.
Yep.
But you have that denial on the CVR. You have a highly experienced crew. The captain was a line training captain over 8,000 hours. And crucially, their actions after the power loss trying to restore power. The Mayday, none of that aligns with intentionally shutting down the engines.
So the immediate reaction, the Mayday, the denial, it pushes back against the idea they meant to do it.
It does. And remember the end-of-port deployment. That happened seconds after the cutoff. That points towards a significant power loss event, a system failure happening first.
Ah, okay. So maybe the system failed, triggering the RAT, and the switch movement was somehow related to that chaos rather than the cause.
That's one line of investigation.
Yeah.
It potentially shifts the focus from purely pilot action as the initiating event.
And wasn't there something about an FAA advisory from years before?
Yes. Back in 2018, the U.S. FAA issued a non-mandatory advisory about fuel control switch locks on some Boeing models. It raised the possibility, however remote, of potential equipment malfunction. Pilot associations have latched onto this, understandably, pushing back hard against any premature conclusions of pilot error. They insist we have to consider the possibility of a technical fault, however unlikely it seems with the guarded switches.
It really just shows you how tangled these investigations can get. You've got technology, human factors, conflicting data. It underlines why jumping to conclusions, especially early on, is just, well, it's not helpful, even when some facts seem obvious.
Absolutely. And the official investigation is still very much active. There's international cooperation, and we likely won't see a final comprehensive report for maybe another year. Officials are still urging everyone, wait for the facts, don't speculate prematurely.
It leaves you with a challenging thought, doesn't it? And these incredibly complex machines we fly with layers of automation, how do we definitively untangle human command from a possible hidden system glitch? Especially when everything happens in seconds. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.